we are going to add, we have with us today Miss Tanesha Bannister. Thank you, Tanesha, for joining us.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Good, good. And let me make sure we can actually, let me know if you can see us and hear us, please, in the comments. I see Facebook is here and YouTube. Is anybody on YouTube? All right, so let me first tell y'all where I first met Miss Tanesha. That was at our First Step Thank You tour in DC. So that's where me and yeah, Tanesha met, and she stood up and told her story. And we talked afterwards, and I was like, oh, I think that she would be a great guest to have because a lot of times we hear about men incarcerated and their stories, but we don't get to hear it often from the females. So thank you, Tanesha, for taking time to just join us and share your story. And happy belated Mother's Day.
Thank you, and the same to you.
Thank you, thank you. So is this like your first or second Mother's Day home?
Actually, this is the second because my year came up May 1st.
Okay. So
Yes.
it's been a good for you. Okay, very good, very good. And you've been adjusting well?
I have been. Life has been good. No complaints.
Very good. We're happy about that. Glad for you and your family. Okay, so we're gonna go on and get started. And Tanesha actually served 16 and a half years in federal prison. But Tanesha was actually sentenced to, you tell them what you were sentenced to, Tanesha.
I was sentenced to life without parole.
She was sentenced to life without parole. And that was on drug conspiracy charges, correct?
It was, and I exercised my right to go to trial, so I was penalized basically for that.
All right. So what a lot of people may not know is, let's see, I have the stats right here. So you have 2% of that actually go to trial. Okay, 90% plead guilty or accept the plea deal that the government offers, and 8% actually get dismissed. So of those 2%, when you go to trial and you exercise your rights, this is 98% of the time, this is what happens with those people, right?
Exactly.
All right. So she decided to exercise her right and fight for her case or her freedom, and she ended up with life, but not just life without parole. So that also brings up another topic of mandatory minimums.
Yes.
All right, and the guidelines that the federal sentencing has to go through, correct? Federal
exactly, and it's unfortunate because the window is so wide when it comes to conspiracy and the mandatory minimum, because you have mandatory minimum that start at 10 to life, 20 to life, 30 to life. However, it's the drug weight that pushes your sentence up. So by you going to trial, actually, it gives ones that are incarcerated or looking at incarceration the opportunity to get, relief from your case by coming to testify on you, whether it's the truth or not, because the government only wants to make their case. And basically, like I said, just going to trial, you're just penalized.
Right. And also with these mandatory minimums, it's just, exactly what it says, mandatory. So the judges aren't able to use their discretion. You might have a judge that may feel like, you don't deserve 10 years or you don't deserve 20 years, but guess what? They have to go by those guidelines, and that's what you're going to get, correct?
Exactly. But in some cases, I must say, well, all cases, because yes, the mandatory minimum is just that, mandatory, and the only person that get released from those mandatory sentences are the one that plead out or the ones that cooperate. And 9 times out of 10, if you cooperate, you're gonna plead because you're looking for a better deal. However, it's the drug weight that pushes the amount of time from that mandatory, whether it's 10 or 20. And I feel like the judges could use a lot of more discretion as to say, okay, whether this person made themselves believable in testifying against the defendant. And a lot of times that's not the case. It's basically whatever the government says. The ones that's sitting in the jury box, those 12, they don't know the actual time that you're looking at when you go to trial. All they know is this charge carries a mandatory minimum of 10 sentences, a 10-year sentence. However, I don't think they're aware of that 10-year sentence can go to a life sentence, as was the case for me.
Wow. So your case, you ended up with a life sentence, but then you appealed your case, correct?
I did.
And that took you down to
280 months. I won my direct appeal in 2008, and I was resentenced in July.
Guess what? So now we move from life to
freedom,
months, which was 23 years, right?
And 4 months, 23 years and 4 months.
Right. So what finally released Tanesha was the First Step Act.
Yes.
Okay, so that crack law was made retroactive.
It was.
And it's that law and along with the First Step Act, which that is part of the First Step Act, which was able to give Tanesha her freedom.
Exactly. You're correct, Danielle, about that, because actually the law was made retroactive in the First Step Act because it wasn't law for the ones that was already incarcerated. A lot of times when laws are passed, you're not benefiting if you're already incarcerated. It benefit the ones that's coming in, not the ones that has been incarcerated for 10 years or 15 years, which is unfortunate. And I think Congress is doing a good job and leading the laws in the right direction. However, there's still a lot of work to do, but yeah, that's basically how it goes.
Yeah.
I can be sitting in prison for 10 years and someone that just committed a crime a year ago come in and they benefit from the new law. However, I've been there for the last decade and I can't get relief because it wasn't retroactive. And my thing is this: if it was wrong back then, it's wrong now.
And you have people now that are in life on marijuana charges. And look at the states that are legalizing marijuana now. But because of that retroactivity, they're still there. So
exactly.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share, just a little brief background of, Tanisha's time and how much time she served in prison. So let's say this. So when you were sentenced, what actually went through your head when you heard life?
Honestly, Danielle, I can't quite remember because I was numb to the whole situation. And it was like I went to trial for 9 weeks. And I remember them coming to get us from the county jail saying the verdict had came back. So I was rushed to the courtroom, and around 2:00 that day, I went in front of the judge. And she told me the jury found you not guilty. I'm sorry, guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that was it. And I think it took maybe 2 or 3 days to really set in that this lady literally just gave me a natural life sentence.
Wow.
Yes.
And you have 2 children, correct? So how old were your children at that time?
Oh my God, they were 8 and 10.
8 and 10. And how did you explain that to them?
Well, actually, I didn't get into the details as to the time that I had because they were too young, and I didn't want them to subject themselves to a whole lot of questions as far as my mom coming home and what is life going to be like for us. And I didn't want to expose my feelings at that time to reality. So I stayed numb on that subject for a long time.
Mm-hmm. So
and it was hard. And it was really hard. But, thank God I had a good support system and things worked out. However, it took 16 and a half years, but I'm back home to adult children now. They're 25 and 26. Actually, my son will be 26 coming Saturday.
Okay.
Yes. So I left little children and came home to young adults.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's I'm not in your shoes. I was not in prison, but I can experience. I don't know the experience of a mother, but I just have seen my kids watch their dad, or their dad watch them grow over the years, so I can relate.
Yeah.
But so how did you parent from prison? What were some of the things that you did to keep the bond strong with your kids?
Well, I was always present in their lives. However, I was gone away from them physically. I always stayed active and that parent, be it by um telephone calls, letters, and visits until we were able to get email starting in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I know when the kids come to visit, I know it would be difficult just to. That was probably the most, the only time you really felt normal or peace of mind, just being there with your children during visitation.
That was a big part, but I decided after a while, I had to learn to do the time and not let the time do me. So
Mm-hmm.
I settled into a routine and started to find myself and figure out, what was the reasons why I was there and my purpose in life. And I think once I met common ground with that, I was able to move forward and do my time peacefully.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so that's one thing I would like for the viewers, especially if you have loved ones on the inside. I know the question is asked, how do you deal with hopelessness? Someone asked that not too long ago. How do they deal with hopelessness on the outside, and how do those that are incarcerated deal with hopelessness? So I think what you said, sums it all up. You have to get to a point where you found your purpose and your meaning in life, and just because you're in there does not mean that you don't have purpose.
Exactly, because life didn't stop for me. Actually, it started
Right.
because of the life I chose to live while I was free on the streets versus, I had a very, very long time to reflect on the things that was and the things that would be once
Mm-hmm.
I was released. Because after I accepted my situation, I just knew in my heart of hearts that I wouldn't breathe my last breath being incarcerated. I didn't think it would take as long as it did,
Mm-hmm.
but God don't make no mistakes. So
Yeah.
his time is divine. So
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Because I know, and not just with prison, there are times when you are just wondering, okay, where is God? When is he going to come through? But like you said, he comes through,
exactly, because
mhm,
I tell you, once I decided to walk the straight and narrow and live life according to his will, things started to happen for me. And I won my appeal. I got my time reduced. I was able to do a lot of things and incorporate a lot of things in BOP. So it came about me helping others adjust because everybody isn't built for prison and everybody not as strong as the next. So I focused on helping the younger ones that were coming in the system that was lost and had lost hope. And I always stayed encouraged and never negative.
mhm,
And I was able to help a lot of people, and that alone in itself, brightened my heart and gave me the next day to look forward to. So it just wasn't about me, but it was about the ones that I was surrounded around, incarcerated,
mhm.
and my family, because I know I wanted to come home and be a better person and lead by example while I was there and once released.
Okay, very good, and that's important. Like you said, helping others is basically what helped you. Yeah.
Exactly.
You would have been stuck in your own hopelessness if you weren't helping other people. So that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Um,
because you have to learn how to bask in somebody else's blessings before you can receive yours.
yes, ma'am. So I know, I touched on visit, but it's one thing I did want to mention about visit because again, we're talking about females that are incarcerated. We always hear about the men. And when I would go see my husband, I noticed that, we would have to rush there to make sure we were there at that door soon as they open 8 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes when we got there at 8 o'clock, there's a long line, and it's packed to the point when the guard will come in sometime, it's like, okay, if you travel from around you, if you're within 2 hours of the prison, we're going to have to ask you to leave so other people can come. That's just how they were rotating people in and out of the prison. So tell me, was visit like that at the facility? How many facilities did you go to first during your?
I've been to 4 different institutions.
Okay.
Yep. So, and with life sentence, you automatically go to FCI. And after I was able to gain relief from my direct appeal and get a time cut, I was able to go to a camp, which is low custody. But it's unfortunate, but Danielle, the men are not beating down the prisons to come visit their wives.
Yes, and that's what I wanted to.
I must say you're one of the strong soldiers in the time of the struggle and war. Yeah, I commend you for that.
Yeah, so I just thought that was strange. I mean, I never really thought about it until I was on Instagram one day, and one of the wives, her husband was in prison, and she had a parent in prison, her mother, and she's like, when she would go visit her mother, she had no problem, going to see her mom because it was hardly nobody there. And I'm like, so these women get incarcerated, and if they don't have a family to support them, then they're not getting visits.
No.
They're just there. So just imagine being, women in there for life and with these extra long sentences, not being able to at least come and get a visit. That's
Well,
enough.
I think 1 day is too long to be incarcerated with no help or no support on the outside.
Yes.
I mean, doing time is hard as in itself. So, I mean, I can't imagine doing the time alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's already hard, and
Right.
unfortunately, a lot of women go through that as well as men, and that's why I made the choice early on to be that role model and to help the ones that came in that didn't have a lot because you know it's the small things that count when you're incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was me showing or expressing that people do care for you and you can count me in that number, you know, that helped them along the way also and kept their hope alive and wanted to do things to better themselves to be protected once released.
Yeah, that's actually a big part of the rehabilitation.
It is.
Just having support, and so if you don't have that support, your chances are higher of coming home. Because first of all, you can't. What are you coming home to if you don't have support? Not saying that there are programs out here, but when you come home to no support, no family, that's difficult, and your chances of going back, the recidivism, increases.
Exactly. And it's hard because life as you know it is no more. So whether you had support or not, I mean, just look at my situation. My kids was 8 and 10 when I returned. They were 24 and 26. So I mean, I had to adjust to
Mm,
okay, they're not little children anymore because time don't wait and everybody grow up, they become one of themselves. They start to live their own life and make choices as far as when it comes to them, and then they also at times a lot of women and men they become mothers and fathers themselves. you know People get older, you have family members that passed away, so I mean everything is completely different.
yeah.
So you have to make sure you're armed mentally, emotionally, you know for the things to come once you're released from being incarcerated for so long. And like
Mm,
I say so long because my thing is, I think one day is too much time to be away from your children. Period.
mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. So those of you that watch this, this is why it's important to advocate and get involved. So those that don't have anybody to come home to, maybe you want to get involved in some type of advocacy or ministry to help those when they come home from being incarcerated. All right. And you pretty much answered my question. It was something else I was going to ask you. Tips. You basically just gave the tips to those. Do you have any specific tips just to offer families that have, let's say, mothers, children that have mothers that are incarcerated? What would you tell those families how to support those children?
To stay encouraged and don't waver in your support and faith, because we all know God is not going to give you more than you can bear. A lot of times we don't understand the things that come in our lives, but it's just a direct result of the choices we make in life. But everybody deserves a second chance. Everybody can change. And I just feel like if everyone stay the course and find that purpose in life, um, they will be okay.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to add too. I know me and Tanesha talked the other day, and I was telling her on Mother's Day, I saw a post where I guess y'all say I stay on Facebook, Instagram, but there was a Mother's Day post where somebody said, that incarcerated mothers aren't mothers. So I think what you see right here is an example, a true example of a mother, no, as the post said, she did not just give birth, she parented her children even from behind bars. And to be able to do that and have her kids come home and still maintain that bond, that says a lot to me because it's even harder to parent from prison, of course, than from home. So yes, there are mothers locked up, not just people that gave birth. So, you're to be commended because I'm glad y'all are still together because there's a lot of people that come home and they're not. And that's like my purpose is to let people know that, yes, the prison sentence does not end, the family. It's
Yeah, and
designed.
I'm guessing it was a male that made that comment.
Yes, it was.
Okay, so he couldn't relate to giving birth to any children or what it is to raise a child 100% of the time. And it's unfortunate, but some things have no boundaries. So
Right. And
you just have to just keep moving forward.
right. Mm-hmm. So, I think, is there anything that you would like to add before we end? But let's just tell us, what are you doing right now?
Now, as far as in life or
in life?
I'm living my best life right now. I've been blessed along the way. And when I was released May 1st, 2019, I was released with 8 years of probation. And I was let off probation like 9 days ago. So I did 1 year on probation and she let me go.
Yeah, that's a blessing right there.
Exactly. So I'm no longer obligated or bound to FBOP.
That's good.
However, I will remain in the struggle for
yes, that's good. I know that's a whole nother feeling, just knowing that you don't have to report in.
Exactly. And I've lived the life of incarceration. I know what it is to be in there with support and without support, not firsthand, but just being subjected to my surrounding. And it's the small things that count. I mean, even if it's just to hear your name called, mail call.
Mm-hmm.
I just encourage family members to take that time if they are responsible for young kids, whether it be for a daughter, father, however, to take 5 minutes out to go to the store and let the children write in the card, send pictures, um, and you know, not lose sight of, because we all know life goes on,
Mm-hmm.
but don't lose sight of the person that's incarcerated, because the things that you do to help them along the way can help mold them into the person that they're striving to be.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I appreciate your time, and because I know we're in your wind down period.
It's late, Danielle.
Tanisha's an hour ahead of me, so when I asked her, she was like, "Wait, I'm getting ready for work at that time." So I do appreciate you for joining us. I was just going to check out some of these comments before, we let you go. Hey, mom. Hey, mom. See who we got. Hello, Chandra. Miss Nob, thanks for watching. Chandra had a question. I don't see it yet. Hey, Tasha, thanks for joining. I hope this helps, just to give some insight. And I'm also going to ask that y'all share the video because, as I always say, you don't know who's been impacted by incarceration. It's 1 out of 2 people that are impacted. So somebody on your timeline has been impacted by it in some way, shape, form, or fashion. If they've been there, if they have someone in there, or if they're on their way. So share the video. And also, just for young girls to see, because, the female incarceration rate is increasing, and especially for African-American women. So, share so they'll see that this is not what they want. But what we are proud of is that Tanesha has come out of it stronger and better.
Yes.
All right, you guys are amazing. Your strength is unconditional love. It's unbelievable. I'm proud of you both. Thank you, champion principal. There go my husband. Love you, Tanesha. You're always going to be my sister. He calls you his bed sister.
I know.
Your strength is amazing. Keep fighting and bringing more awareness. Thanks, Kim and Miss Janice. All right, and we thank you. Thank you all for watching. And again, remember the subscription boxes are available. Y'all, these are nice boxes. You can even store your stuff from your significant other in there. And check out the store website and the book, Prayers of a Prison Wife. Okay, good night, and thank y'all for watching.